The absolute minimum for f of x equals 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1 on the closed interval -1 to 2 occurs at x equals 1. So our job is to go figure out what the x value is. Now this is an absolute minimum problem. So the strategy for this is really an EVT or what we call a table problem. Okay? So this table has a little bit of information that needs to be filled in. So obviously we would need the x value and whatever you're working with, in this case is f of x. So we need to figure out the minimum for that. So the f of x will go there. We will also need to put in the endpoints, what I call the EPs. And in this case, these are the EPs, -1 and 2. We will also need, in between them, if any, the critical numbers of the particular function that you're working with. So in this case, the f prime of x equals 6x squared minus 6x. Critical numbers come from when the derivative equals 0 or undefined. So let's set it equal to 0. This is a polynomial. Let's factor out as 6x, always common practice. So this happens at x equals 0 and at x equals 1. This is where we have the critical numbers. You do have to check that these critical numbers are within the interval that's given to you. If they fall outside, then you would not place them on the table. So we put the 0 and the 1, critical number and critical number. The next step is to plug in the endpoints and the critical numbers into the function that you're working with. In this case, it's f of x. So we need to go on and get those numbers by plugging in these numbers in here. So let's try f of -1 first. So it's 2, -1 cubed minus 3, -1 squared plus 1. And that will get me a -4. So this is a -4. The next step is to plug in the 0. So let's do f of 0 equals 2 times 0 cubed minus 3 times 0 squared plus 1. And that's a 0 as a 0, we will get a 1. So that's a 1. Let's plug in a positive 1. So f of positive 1, 2 times positive 1 cubed minus 3 times positive 1 squared plus 1. And for that, that's 2 minus 3 is -1 plus 1 is 0. And the last one, f of 2. 2 times 2 is cubed minus 3 times 2 squared plus 1. That's 8 times 2 is 16. And 4 is minus 12 plus 1. So that's a 4. Plus 1, we will get a 5. So we're looking for the minimum that happens wherever is the smallest one. So that would happen here. Now, where does it happen? You got to pay attention to the question. Right? If they ask what is the minimum, it would be a -4. But if they ask where does it happen, then you need to give them the x value. In this case, it happens at -1. So that would be your answer for this problem.